The air in La Perla was a symphony of clinking crystal and murmured deals, a language Evelyn Croft had mastered long ago. But today, the notes were dissonant, a grating reminder of the hollow space at her own table, a space once filled by her daughter's laughter. It was the anniversary, a black mark on her platinum calendar she could never erase. Her perfectly tailored black suit felt like a funeral shroud, and the weight of her $1 billion empire felt lighter than the ache of a simple, unanswerable question. "Why did you leave me?" As she raised a trembling hand to signal for the check, her eyes, usually scanning for profit margins and weaknesses, caught on a flash of familiar, impossible color across the room. A waitress, balancing a heavy tray, wore a necklace, not just any necklace. It was a small, hand-painted ceramic sun, its rays chipped with age, its colors faded by love. It was the exact match to the tiny, ceramic moon Evelyn wore, hidden beneath her blouse, a secret against her skin. And in that moment, the world's most powerful woman forgot how to breathe. Evelyn's composure, a fortress built over 30 years, crumbled into dust. The polished marble floor seemed to tilt. The sound of a distant wine glass shattering mirrored the fracture in her own soul. She was on her feet before her mind could command them, moving through the opulent restaurant as if in a dream, her personal bodyguard, a mountain of a man named Leo, falling into step behind her. With quiet concern, the young waitress, whose name tag read Maya, had just deposited a plate of seared scallops before a demanding-looking couple. She offered a tired but genuine smile, her hand instinctively fluttering to the sun pendant at her throat, a self-soothing gesture Evelyn recognized with a painful jolt. "That necklace?" Evelyn's voice was a ragged whisper, stripped of all its boardroom authority. It was the voice of a mother, lost and desperate. "Where did you get it?" Maya turned, her brown eyes widening slightly at the intense, tear-streaked face of the famously stoic billionaire. She nervously touched the pendant again. It's just an old thing. My mother gave it to me." The word mother landed like a physical blow. Evelyn's own daughter, Clara, had vanished 25 years ago at the age of 19, choosing a life of addiction and chaos over the gilded cage of her inheritance. The last furious words between them echoed in Evelyn's memory. "You care more about your stock options than you do about me." The police search had been extensive, the private investigators relentless, but Clara had disappeared into the city's underbelly without a trace. The only thing Evelyn had left was the moon pendant, one half of a set she'd had made for Clara's 10th birthday. "You're my sun, and I'm your moon, Mama. I'll always be with you," Clara had said. Evelyn, oblivious to the stares of the other patrons, reached a trembling hand beneath her collar and pulled out her own necklace. The tiny, creamy moon, with its faint smile and specks of blue, dangled from its simple chain. "This is its pair," she choked out. "I gave the sun to my daughter, Clara." Her name was Clara. Maya's face went pale. She stared at the moon, then back at Evelyn's face, her expression shifting from confusion to dawning, heart-wrenching realization. "Clara," she breathed the name like a sacred prayer. That was my mother's name." Time stopped. The ambient noise of the restaurant faded into a dull roar. Evelyn's knees buckled, and Leo was there, his strong arm a steadying presence. He quickly guided both women, one a billionaire, one a waitress, into a private dining room, his professionalism a shield against the gathering spectacle. Inside the quiet room, the truth tumbled out in a torrent of shared grief and revelation. Maya spoke of a mother who was kind but deeply sad, who told stories of a grand, beautiful life she had foolishly run away from. A mother who struggled with demons Maya never fully understood, but who loved her with a ferocity that was her anchor. Clara had worked 2 jobs, often going hungry to ensure Maya could go to school. She had died 3 years ago from pneumonia, a sickness her body, weakened by a hard life, couldn't fight. The sun necklace was the only thing she had insisted Maya never, ever sell. She told me it was a piece of her soul. Maya whispered, tears tracing clean paths through the faint dusting of powder on her cheeks. She said, if I ever met a woman who looked like a queen, but had eyes as sad as mine, to show it to her. Evelyn wept. She wept for the daughter she lost twice, first to anger, then to death. She wept for the struggles she never knew, for the pride that had prevented her from searching harder, for forgiving sooner. She saw Clara not as the rebellious teenager, but as a struggling young mother, and her heart broke in a whole new way. But through the tears, a new emotion began to flicker, a profound, staggering gratitude. She looked at Maya, really looked at her. She saw the weariness of someone who worked too hard, the calluses on her hands from carrying trays, the faint shadows under her eyes. But she also saw Clara's smile and her own determined chin. She saw her granddaughter. The following weeks were a whirlwind of DNA tests, a mere formality, as their hearts had already confirmed the truth, and a hesitant, beautiful getting to know you. Evelyn learned that Maya lived in a cramped apartment with a roommate, working double shifts to put herself through community college, studying social work. She learned of the eviction notices, the meals skipped, the constant, grinding anxiety of poverty that Clara had endured, and that Maya was determined to escape. Evelyn's first instinct, the billionaire's instinct, was to fix it all with a stroke of a pen. She wanted to buy Maya a penthouse, a new car, to endow a trust fund so vast she'd never have to work another day. But she remembered Clara's accusation, that she only knew how to solve problems with money. She saw the same fierce independence in Maya's eyes that had once been in Clara's. So Evelyn did something different. She asked, "What do you need, Maya? Not what I can give you. What do you need?" Maya, after a long silence, confessed her dream wasn't just a degree, but a community center in a neighborhood like the one she grew up in. A safe haven for kids after school, a place that offered tutoring, hot meals, and, most importantly, kindness, a place that might have helped a young woman like Clara. It was the key that unlocked everything. Evelyn didn't just write a check, she rolled up her sleeves. She used her formidable business acumen not to broker a corporate merger, but to help Maya draft a business plan, navigate city zoning laws, and secure a building. They became partners, grandmother and granddaughter sitting side by side at Maya's rickety kitchen table, surrounded by architectural plans and takeout containers. Evelyn learned about a world she had only ever read about in philanthropic reports. She listened as Maya explained the cycle of poverty, the barriers to entry, the power of a single caring adult in a child's life. In turn, Evelyn shared stories of Clara as a bright, fiery little girl, healing a decades-old wound for both of them. The day the Clara's Son Community Center opened its doors was not covered by financial news outlets. It was covered by local press, captivated by the story of the billionaire grandmother and the waitress granddaughter who had found each other through a simple necklace. But the real story wasn't the discovery, it was the transformation. Evelyn, once defined by her isolation and grief, now found herself surrounded by the vibrant, chaotic energy of children. She read stories to toddlers. Her usual stern expression softened into a smile. She discovered that her talent for ruthless negotiation was perfectly suited to convincing local businesses to donate supplies. Maya, no longer burdened by the sheer weight of survival, flourished. Her natural empathy and intelligence, once used solely to navigate survival, now directed a thriving organization that was changing lives from the ground up. She had not only found family, she had found her purpose. One evening, as they locked up the center, Maya turned to Evelyn. The setting sun cast a warm, golden glow, reminiscent of the pendant that started it all. "She'd be proud of you, you know," Maya said softly. "She spent her life thinking you didn't care. But this proves how much love you had to give." Evelyn took her granddaughter's hand, the simple, calloused hand of a waitress that had built a legacy of hope. "She gave me the greatest gift in you," Evelyn replied, her voice thick with emotion. "And she taught me that the most valuable currency isn't in any bank. It's the kindness we choose to show, especially when it's unexpected." The two women, a pair of fractured pieces made whole, walked into the twilight, a living testament to a love that had endured loss, anger, and even death. They were living proof that our smallest actions, a mother's gift, a stranger's question, can ripple through time, and that sometimes the greatest fortunes are not made of gold, but of second chances and the courage to love again. Moral of the story: the most profound legacy we can leave is not measured in wealth, but in the chains of